Our today's topic is visual pathway. The visual pathway starting from retina consists of optic nerves, optic chiasma, optic tracts, lateral geniculate bodies, optic radiations and the visual cortex. Optic nerve. Each optic nerve, second cranial nerve, starts from the optic disc and extends up to optic chiasma, where the two nerves meet. It is the backward continuation of the nerve fiber layer of the retina, which consists of the axons originating from the ganglion cells. It also contains the afferent fibers of the pupillary light reflex. Morphologically and embryologically, the optic nerve is comparable to a sensory tract. Unlike peripheral nerves, it is not covered by neurolemma, so it does not regenerate when cut. The fibers of optic nerve, numbering about 1 million, are very fine, 2 to 10 micrometers in diameter as compared to 20 micrometers of sensory nerves. Parts of optic nerve. The optic nerve is about 47 to 50 millimeters in length, and can be divided into 4 parts: intraocular, 1 millimeter, intraorbital, 30 millimeters, intracanalicular, 6 to 9 millimeters, and intracranial, 10 millimeters. 1. Intraocular part passes through sclera, converting it into a sieve-like structure, the lamina cribrosa, choroid, and finally appears inside the eye as optic disc. 2. Intraorbital part extends from back of the eyeball to the optic foramina. This part is slightly sinuous to give play for the eye movements. Posteriorly, near the optic foramina, it is closely surrounded by the annulus of Zinn and the origin of the 4 rectus muscles. Some fibers of superior rectus muscle are adherent to its sheath here, and accounts for the painful ocular movements seen in retrobulbar neuritis. Anteriorly, the nerve is separated from the ocular muscles by the orbital fat. 3. Intracanalicular part, is closely related to the ophthalmic artery which lies inferolateral to it and crosses obliquely over it, as it enters the orbit, to lie on its medial side. Sphenoid and posterior ethmoidal sinuses lie medial to it and are separated by a thin bony lamina. This relation accounts for retrobulbar neuritis following infection of the sinuses. 4. Intracranial part, of the optic nerve lies above the cavernous sinus and converges with its fellow over the diaphragm ocelli to form the optic chiasma. Meningeal sheaths, pia mater, arachnoid and dura covering the brain are continuous over the optic nerves. In the optic canal the dura is firmly adherent with the surrounding bone. The subarachnoid and subdural spaces around the optic nerve are also continuous with those of the brain. Optic chiasma, it is a flattened structure measuring 12 mm horizontally and 8 mm anterio-posteriorly. It lies over the tuberculum and diaphragm ocelli. Fibers originating from the nasal halves of the retina decussate at the chiasma. Optic tracts, these are cylindrical bundles of nerve fibers running outwards and backwards from the posterolateral aspect of the optic chiasma. Each optic tract consists of fibers from the temporal half of the retina of the same eye and the nasal half of the opposite eye. Posteriorly each optic tract ends in the lateral geniculate body. The pupillary reflex fibers pass on to pretectal nucleus in the midbrain through the superior brachium. Some fibers terminate in the superior colliculus. Lateral geniculate bodies, these are oval structures situated at the posterior termination of the optic tracts. Each geniculate body consists of 6 layers of neurons, gray matter alternating with white matter, formed by optic fibers. The fibers of second-order neurons coming via optic tracts relay in these neurons. Optic radiations, these extend from the lateral geniculate bodies to the visual cortex and consist of the axons of third-order neurons of visual pathway. Visual cortex, it is located on the medial aspect of the occipital lobe, above and below the calcarine fissure. It is subdivided into the visio-sensory area that receives the fibers of the radiations, and the surrounding visio-psychic area. Blood supply of the visual pathway. The visual pathway is mainly supplied by Peel network of vessels except the orbital part of optic nerve, which is also supplied by an axial system derived from the central artery of retina. The Peel plexus around different parts of the visual pathway gets contribution from different arteries. Blood supply of the optic nerve HEA needs special mention. The surface layer of the optic disc is supplied by capillaries derived from the retinal arterioles. The prelaminar region is mainly supplied by centripetal branches of the parapupillary choroid with some contribution from the vessels of lamina cribrosa. The lamina cribrosa is supplied by branches from the posterior ciliary arteries and arterial circle of Zinn. The retrolaminar part of the optic nerve is supplied by centrifugal branches from central retinal artery and centripetal branches from pial plexus formed by branches from the choroidal arteries, circle of Zinn, central retinal artery and ophthalmic artery.